All right, we are going to wrap up the second part. Remember we did the business model part 1 before, and we worked on that a few weeks ago. This is the business model part 2. So let me share screen. 1 second. And I've actually got some slides that can make us feel happy. Let's see, slideshow. Let's start from the beginning. Okay. So really, this is the, oh, actually, you know what? Let me go back and let me do this other part first, and then we'll wrap up with this one. Let me share screen with another one. Sorry. Actually, Lamira, do you want to share the PDF? And then that way, we did a PDF and then we did a fillable one, and she sent it to you before the meeting.
No, I put it right here in the chat. I put it in the chat.
And it looks like this, and it says phases, functions, and seasons of business. So if you want to just take a little look-see on that really quickly and just make sure we're all looking at the same thing. And then I am going to go back to the other slides. So I just wanted them to see it so they know that's what it looks like. And then I'm going to go back to the slides. So if you guys can get really quickly, if you just want to click on it, so on yours that you can see, okay, yeah, that's what that is, that would be great. And then I'll go back to sharing the slides, but I'm just going to scooch down. And we're going to start from this slide right here. All right, slideshow from current slide. Okay. No, it's not that one. Okay, we're going to scoot through. All right. Okay, this, if you can look at your handout and just see, you got the phases, functions, and seasons of business. The reason why I wanted to share this is because people keep talking about wherever they're at, they're kind of like, I feel this way, but should I be feeling this way? Or I want to feel this way, but I'm just not there yet. I don't feel it yet. And there's a reason why. There is a natural phase and function and season of business. And as I've gone through different things and I've listened to my coaching circle and read books, I kind of put these 3 together because they made sense to me that they all dovetail. They're individual things, the phases and the functions and the seasons. And I kind of just put them together because it makes so much sense. So the first phase of your business is ideation. So Lamar, I'm going to have you man the chat. If there's any questions or anything, just let me know. So the first season is ideation. Raise your hand if you feel like you've been there or that maybe you're even still there. Ideation. Ideation means excitement. It's ideas. It's the vision of it. You're so excited about it. It's like, oh, I can see it in my mind's eye. I can feel this cool idea, either for a book or your business or whatever. It's that creation phase. And I think, you know what, that just makes me think that next time I'm going to add on like a spiritual one at the end. That would be a great idea because that's a creation phase, right? You're creating this idea spiritually before it's created temporally. The second phase is concentration and focus. So first you're going to get this focus on, okay, I've got this idea. Now I'm going to focus down. I'm going to concentrate on it. That's where you start making a plan. That's where you start saying, okay, we're going to have to start putting some ideas to paper. We're going to start throwing pasta on the wall and see what sticks. We're going to find our fit. We're going to see what it is that I actually am focused on. We're going to make a 3-point plan. We're going to do something that makes this kind of start functioning and getting this machine going so that it actually works. Now, what happens a lot of time in focus and concentration is that's when you feel a lot of fear. Why? Because there's a lot of details that are unknown. Anybody felt that? The time that you start going, okay, I got this great fun idea. I call it the Judy Garland, Mickey Rooney thing, where it's like, let's put on a show in the backyard. But then when you start getting the musicians and then the sets and then the costumes, and then you're losing your mind, and you're like, but I don't know how to do a set and I don't know how to sew the costume. That's where we start getting that whole thing of getting scared because we think, I don't know how to do this and I'm going to fail. And that's where we go to that kind of drop off. And we don't need to. Just know this is part of the process. It's getting that ideas and getting it clear, finding your fit, making that breakthrough to, okay, I'm doing this. Now, how do we do it? The third one is momentum. When the energy flows, but it's going to be a roller coaster ride, and it's managing that. So it's kind of this managing we've got these pieces, now we're starting to go, but then, oh, the pipes burst here, and oh, we have to, the AC isn't working here, and oh, this one isn't, and it's this roller coaster ride. And that can feel like, as you're trying to get the momentum to go up the hill, you can feel like I am biking as fast as I can, and I'm just not getting up the hill. And then the last one, but on that momentum, then you hit that stride. You do hit that place where you start feeling like, I don't know. And then you're like, oh, and you're feeling like, I got it. I got traction. I liken it to the roller coaster. And I mentioned this before, you know, when you start to take off on the roller coaster, and then what happens when you start going up? There's that kind of scary sound, right? It goes ching. And what does that mean? What does it tell you? It means you're hooked in, right? That means you're in for the ride. And that means here we go. And it's going to be momentum until the end of that ride. So you're gonna, the momentum gets you up and then goes down, and gets you up and goes down. So you can feel the momentum coming. And that's so exciting because you're seeing the pieces, and then you start to feel the momentum and you're like, oh my gosh, it's really working. It's really working. I think I can, right? And then the stabilization. Once you kind of like how we felt after the first retreat was like, whoo, holy spumoli, we just experienced that. That was incredible. And then it was, how do we replicate that? Not replicate the exact experience because that was a unique experience, but how can we replicate that thing and offer it to women and be able to stabilize what we're offering? So it's not going to be, when you go to Crumble, you know, if you get a chocolate chip cookie, what's it going to look and taste like? You're going to be mad if you go in there and they've changed the chocolate chip recipe, right? You'll be like, but that was not what I was looking for. So it's a stabilization. You want to get it stable so that people know what they're looking for and they can anticipate it and they can excitedly anticipate it. Think about a favorite restaurant that you like to go to. What's your favorite dish when you go there? I mean, are you already like kind of salivating, thinking about it? I'm thinking about Guru's. I'm taking my girls and her friends to Guru's today. And those Baja tacos, I can't wait. Like I'm already thinking about it. So if they changed it or if they didn't do it right, it would be disappointing. So the stabilization is really important. You're creating that baseline. You're getting this upper spiral, this upper vortex of being able to replicate it. But a really important piece here, after that January retreat, we did take a moment to breathe, to pause, to say, that was good. That was very good. To be able to savor and soak that in. And that's a huge piece on the stabilization piece. And I invite you to do that. Take the pauses. I mentioned probably before with Oprah, where she was climbing that mountain in Hawaii and she had all of her markers all set out and she was gung ho and she was doing it. And then she stopped in the middle of it and went, what the heck am I doing? I'm in Hawaii on this beautiful mountain. And she turned and she just savored before she went to the next level. And I really feel like, especially for women, this is a big piece of making sure that stabilization happens. All right. Any thoughts on that? Sweet potato fries from Guru's. Oh my gosh, and now you've done it. Those calories are your fault. Okay, awesome. All right, so the next one that comes, whoops, here we go, is the second one is the functions. And they kind of mirror, it's not an exact size, but they kind of mirror it. So the first thing for the functions of business is for you to be able to go, okay, mindset and leadership. This is you to have vision and clarity. Now, some of you have said, it feels like I'm doing nothing because I'm just kind of like, na, 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 and everybody seems like they're doing all these big wins and big things happening. But I am here to tell you that anybody else watch Perot, BBC Perot, Agatha Christie? Anyone else? Am I the only weirdo? Okay, I'm from Scotland, so there you go. But anyway, he always talks about the little gray cells. He's a detective, the most famous detective ever in his own words. But he always is given grief about, why aren't you going to go look for footprints and clues, you know, beneath the window? And he's like, it's not in one of the footsteps. You've got to use it right here. That's vision and clarity. In that book, Who Not How, here's some thoughts that they talk about with vision. Every time you invest in a vision, your commitment to that vision increases. Psychologist calls this escalation of commitment. And if you don't have a clear vision, they talk about the 3 things that make business successful for working with others. And you have to have high autonomy and clear vision. And there's one other thing, that you have to trust them. But what happens if you have high autonomy, meaning that people can kind of do it, you don't micromanage? What happens if you have high autonomy and unclear vision? Yeah, anarchy, right? Like it's not going to happen. So you have to have clear vision. They say you must make the vision understandable, precise, powerful, and engaging so that your team will become increasingly willing to put more effort into completing their tasks. If you don't have a clear vision, oh, here they are. It said a team has high autonomy, high goal clarity, and gets regular feedback on the results, then their performance shoots through the roof. What if you apply this to you? If you have high vision, clear vision, you know what you're doing. Your one big message, your one big thing and your stair step, and you know what you're doing, then when you have those doubts or things, you can go back to that and go, I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. And it's okay if it's taking a little bit longer, it's fine. But then your performance will shoot through the roof, because in that space of clarity, you'll be able to get the divine downloads. God cannot answer a murky prayer. If we have specifics that we want, we can take it to him, and it's a specific stone. What if the brother of Jared had just dropped a big old rock and said, can you split this up and can you do something with this, right? God doesn't want that. If you know Wallace Wattles, and he's Leslie Householder talks about him, he mentions sometimes we pray like the telegraph and we send a bunch of jumbled letters. And then we put the onus on him to say, Heavenly Father, you put it all together, figure out what it is I want, and then send it to me. That's not how it works. So we have to get clear in our vision. And when we do, the results will go. And that's the same thing as niching down. When we do that, we really see results. Okay, the second thing is sales and marketing. You'll notice that there's flow. This is the first one is my flow, and then this one is flowing in. This is the lifeblood to the business. This creates energy, participants, it's progress. There's this upward spiral. When you get this focus and concentration, you start bringing people in, you start saying, okay, I feel like this piece needs to happen and this piece needs to happen. And it starts to click like pieces of a watch, and you start to click, 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 click. And that starts to show you that this is a valid thing. This is going, we're doing, it's happening. And that makes you feel this feeling of, okay, this is working. Whatever it is we've got, it's working. Now there's pieces you're going to see that aren't going to work, but you can see there's things that are working. And then the third one is finances and money. And this is the income and the outgo. This is where you want to put your time and energy into what's energy rich. So this momentum, you've kind of been able to see what pieces work, what pieces don't. You're shedding the ones that don't, so you can lighten the load behind, so you can get more momentum. So as you're doing this momentum, you're getting more financial and money system set up, you're getting more financial increase. So now you can actually increase your who's, you can increase the way that you're effective in doing things instead of you wearing 52 hats. This is a really good momentum phase where you're like, okay, we're going to take this increase and we're going to use it for good. And that's Janae's money mindset, not being afraid of money not coming in yet. You're seeing it, you're making a placeholder for it. You're saying, that's how it's going to help me do what? Do good, move it forward. This is what we need in order to move it to the next phase. So that's the placeholder for the money. I need a personal assistant. I need a social media person. I need a whatever in order for this to be what it needs to be. Remember, we want to think big. And in this Who Not How, they talk about if you want to do it bigger, you have to do it with more people that are more effective, right? It's not just more people you add them on, but people who buy into your vision, who have the skill set, and then high autonomy. You get in the clear vision, high autonomy, go do you and make this happen. This is the ultimate objective that we want to do. They have a beautiful thing in this book. It's called an impact filter. And I'm going to have Lamira share the link in the WhatsApp. It's a one-page thing that shares the vision. So you can hand it off to someone else that you want to have work with you or do something with you to help you. And that vision will help you clearly state, this is the ultimate objective and this is the thing I need you to do. That will help you to be able to help them have higher autonomy. You're not micromanaging, you're not babysitting, but you're still being clear and connecting, and you're still being able to create and share the vision so that they know what they're supposed to be actually working towards. Does that make sense? So we'll share that. I thought it was great. I loved it. It's a one-page thing, super easy. And then operations. This is the distribution and delivery of services. It's the systems, it's the processes, it's the replication, and it's the more conscious team assembly. It's not just adding in one person or another person. This is like, now, this is how we roll. For us, what we're doing right now is creating an executive board, and we've been able to fill like 2 or 3 of those places, and it's been amazing. Now being able to shed those hats, being able to say, this is how it needs to roll. And because we've been able to know what works, what doesn't to a good degree, it's easier to hand it off and to be able to say, this is what we found so far, and be able to be open to whatever they're saying. Hey, these are things that you're going to want to do differently. So does that make sense? And then the last thing is seasons. Now we could also add on moon cycles on that too. So I want you to consider, what season is your business in? Winter is actually the ideation. It's the thing that's happening underneath. It's all kind of the roots are like this, and they're cracking and they're going dig and whatever. So that in the spring, they're ready to pop up. So that winter ideation, and then it comes the spring, and that's where you're starting to see the sprouts starting to kind of pop up. It's a little bit wobbly of a stalk, but you're starting to see this. It looks like a thing. You're like, oh my gosh, it's a thing. So you're starting to see this come up. And then summer is full bloom, full expression. It's saying, guess what? Momentum. I am Gerber Daisy, and all my Gerber Daisy fans are here, and we are rolling this. Like, this is what's happening. And it's beautiful, and it's artist's garden in full bloom. It's gorgeous, right? That's summer, and you're getting that momentum. And sometimes it's crazy and you're exhausted, but there's a thrill and an exhilaration to it. And then there's fall, and that's where you harvest. You go, wow, what was good? What didn't harvest? Like my 1 cucumber square foot garden. What didn't harvest? What do we need to do differently next time? Does that all make sense? So when you go into that coaching phase, then I want you to consider those questions that are down below. What stage are you in? And what's working for you about the stage that you're in? And what isn't working and what needs to shift? Because it might be that you're in one stage. Now, you'll go through these stages several times. Like, it could be even like in a month. You'll go through the ideation of something, and then the spring of it, and then the summer of it, and the full bloom, and we put it out there and it's great. And then the fall of it. Okay, this is what we need to do differently. This is what we need to keep. So it's not like it has to go through several months of each one, but these are, if you can feel the rhythm and the cycle of these, then as you know and understand that, you'll be less afraid and less concerned about, I'm not seeing anything coming up yet, right? But that's okay. When I was checking my square foot garden, I was like, there's nothing. And then there was the sprouts and the stalk, and I was like, artists, I have to tell you, I just am so envious because I can't even keep a square foot garden alive. So I need you, but I get so excited when I see something alive that's intentionally planted. It's exciting. Jen, same with you. So those are the things. And then after that, what can you do in this stage to shift it, to make it energy rich? Are you fighting changing a stage? Are you not listening to the spirit? Are you not partnering with him? Are you not asking different questions that would give you the answers that you need? Are you afraid of knowing? Are you afraid of finding out? That radical honesty approach that I just love what you just said, being honest with yourself and saying, what is it that's holding me back here? I've got old patterns here. I've got old perspectives, old tapes playing in my head. What do I need to get rid of, right? And that's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of all these stages, this process, this life, is being able to see what's the programming in here and what's going to stay and what needs to go, and clean it out. Just like President Nelson said, that debris, I'm doing a debris spree, and I'm decluttering stuff in my house and my heart, in my systems and my principles, the ways that I'm doing things, and decluttering and cleaning it out so I can make room for the more that's coming. So anyway, those thoughts. All right, I know time is crazy short. Hang on, I want to share this really quick with you. I've got 4 minutes and then I got to go. I'm going to go back on and share this really fast because this is really cool. This is the second piece. So if you go to the second page, and I'm sorry that I'm hammering through this, but the winds are so important, ladies. So this is the seek the higher water source. This is the last thought that I want to share with you. As you're looking at what you're doing, I invite you to embrace what comes to mind, like, oh, I'm going to start here, and then be still and imagine, envision, where's the higher water source? So for example, in Everest, let me just go from the current slide. Oh, come on. I said from the current slide. Okay. This is Mount Everest, and this is a river, can't say the name, but it's beautiful. And that's what it feeds down to, basically 1 billion people. This river starts at the top with all of the snowpack, and then it comes down and it does all these tributaries and goes into, I think it's 15 different rivers, okay? And these rivers come down and they feed into these communities. And these women have to be, primarily it's women, have to figure out what's too much water, what's not enough water, what kind of water is it, all of those things. And then it feeds into these rivers, and then people choose how they want to use that water. So this is the Ganges, and it is one of the most highly polluted rivers in the world, but people still seek it out because they believe that it will help them wash away their sins. But this is way down at the bottom of that water source, okay? And that's just a highly polluted one, that Ganges River. This is another well, and it's a public use well. So it's already been cleaned and filtered and all of that. And this is where the women come and they connect and they bond and they get their water. This is where they get their water source. So there's so much I want to say to this analogy, but we don't have time. But what I want to share is, think about your purest, most one-time energy, highest water source for your one big thing. So Ashley, for example, if I can pick on you for 1 second, it was beautiful. At the retreat, she started off saying, you know what? I want to be a speaker. And then, and you can correct me if I say any of this wrong. I want to be a speaker and I know I can do this. And she totally can. And now she's doing it. Okay. So then it was, well, now I want to speak for, I want to do retreats and I want to do blah, blah, blah. And then it was, I'm going to go and do it for this woman who is holding a retreat because she's already got the women at the retreat. And she does, I think it was a company that has all this downline. So then you can kind of go down. Can you see how she's raising it each time where she's saying, I'm going to go to a higher water source. So she could even, like with Wendy Jones went into, she's like, okay, I want to go and help these women that are underprivileged, right? And go in and do that. And she did that, which was beautiful and amazing. Then she happens to be in Down East and she's talking to someone in Down East. And then she's like, hey, I want to talk to you about maybe I could do something like this for your employee. So who did she go to after that? If we had time, Wendy, I would have you share the story. I'm so sorry. But who did she go to after that? Corporate Down East, right? And then what did they say? And Wendy, I'm so sorry. I know you could say this better. They said, we want to help you. We want to like bring stuff to you at your thing, at the project that you do. Can you see how this makes it better, simpler, faster? Going to that higher water source. So consider what that looks like. Now, it doesn't always mean that it's like bigger and better like that. I actually was going wide and I came down to smaller retreats. Now that smaller retreat is going to go into pods and go out there wide. So does that make sense? It doesn't have to be that you're meeting millions. It means that you are going to a very well-placed, effective water source that will do so much more for you. When Lindsay was talking about it, she was talking about maybe doing speaking and things like that and saying, I'd like to get out there. But then there's a concern about, okay, if you're working with suicide awareness, do you have some credibility? Are you a therapist? What's your credibility, right? And then we talked about, well, go through Hope Squad or something like that. Go through an organization that's already set up and you go out as one of their emissaries. And now you're under that umbrella. Now you have instant credibility and you can speak to the piece that is your piece because you're going to run it through them and they're going to be like, yeah, this is great. And then you can speak under their umbrella until you've gained enough credibility that you can do it on your own. Does that all make sense? Yes? Is this helpful at all? So I invite you, consider what does that water source look like for you right now? And then how can you raise it? And then how can you raise it again? How can you raise it again? That one river goes down into 15 rivers, 15 tributaries. You want to love your tributaries. You want to have it up here and then you got a podcast and a book and an organization and speaking and blah, 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 blah. Or you start up here and you've got 5 organizations that you're working with. And you don't have to go and find all the people who love what you do. They are already doing that for you. So you can spend your time and energy on what's energy rich and doing your niche.